Welcome back to another explainer. Today, we're equipping you with a seriously practical conversational tool belt. We're going to look at how to navigate everyday social interactions in English. Specifically, we'll focus on how to admit fault casually, especially in those everyday conversations with friends and family. Because let's face it, we all make mistakes. But knowing how to own up to them without making things overly serious or dramatic is an absolute superpower for keeping your relationships healthy.
Okay, let's dive right into our agenda. 1. Why casual apologies matter. 2. The phrase, that's on me. 3. The phrase, my bad. 4. The phrase, I messed up. And 5. Adding short, natural reasons. Let's get started. Section 1. Why casual apologies matter, and specifically how they lower tension.
You know, everyday relationships actually have incredibly high stakes. Think about it for a second. How often have you seen a tiny, completely insignificant error just blow up into a massive fight simply because of how it was handled in the moment? It literally happens all the time. Let's anchor this in some relatable reality. Imagine you're starting your morning at home, you stumble into the kitchen, and you realize you forgot to buy coffee. For a lot of people, no morning coffee leads to absolute panic. Or maybe you completely missed a text from a close friend and just never replied. These are the small, everyday imperfections that really test our connections. So notice the stark contrast in how we can react here. When you make one of those small mistakes, you basically have two choices. You can either get defensive or you can stay calm. Taking accountability calmly demonstrates self-awareness, right? It proves to your partner or your roommate that you actually see the issue. Defensiveness, on the other hand, that is a total relationship killer. It causes instant arguments and puts up a wall that prevents any real connection from building.
Moving to Section 2. Phrase, that's on me. Casual and professional. This is the very first tool in our conversational tool belt, and it's a great one because it bridges the gap perfectly between your personal life and a professional setting. After all, we don't just become robots the second we swipe our badges at work. Let's define it exactly. That's on me simply means it's my fault. But the tone here is completely relaxed, it is not dramatic at all, something was your responsibility, you messed it up, and you are casually owning it. It's a wonderfully nice, natural, and native way to say, I made a mistake, without bringing any heavy, uncomfortable drama into the room.
And this brilliantly illustrates how the phrase sounds in a workplace scenario. Imagine having to say, the report wasn't ready for the meeting. I thought the meeting was tomorrow. That's on me. It sounds incredibly mature, confident, and self-aware, doesn't it? You aren't crumbling under the pressure, you're just calmly stating the facts and accepting the responsibility.
But now, let's contrast that workplace example with a roommate role play. Let's say you're trying to get out the door, and your roommate says, we don't have time to get coffee. You haven't showered yet. You reply, you're right. That's on me. I kept hitting snooze on my alarm. See how that immediately lowers the tension at home? You admitted fault smoothly, and you probably just prevented a huge morning fight over the bathroom schedule. All right, Section 3. Phrase, my bad. Highly casual.
Now, I do want to give you a quick warning right off the bat here. This one is a very noticeable step down in formality. My bad is a highly casual admission of fault. It's truly best reserved for personal use, like with close friends and family, and it should probably be avoided at work. The sources even joke that it might be a remnant from our teenage years that we just kind of carry over into adulthood. But hey, it still exists, and it's highly effective for keeping things lighthearted when you make a minor goof without getting overly serious about it. Let's look at that tense roommate morning again. Your roommate sighs and says, I think we're out of coffee again. You reply, oops, my bad, I forgot to add it to the shopping list. Boom, you immediately own the mistake of forgetting the coffee. You aren't making a huge theatrical apology that makes the other person uncomfortable. You just casually take the blame so you can both move on to finding a solution. Which brings us to Section 4. Phrase, I messed up. Flexible severity. Let's see how this builds our vocabulary. What makes this specific phrase so unique is its flexible severity. I messed up is a literal admission. You are clearly, undeniably stating that you made an error. But it scales beautifully. You can use it playfully for dropping a piece of toast, or you can use it quite seriously. Either way, it lowers tension by showing the other person that you are directly looking at your mistake and owning it, whether it's a tiny slip-up or a massive deal. To show how serious this can scale, the sources shared a fantastic high-stakes example. Imagine you're hiking in the middle of the Arizona desert, and you forgot the compass. You suddenly realize you're completely lost. You look at your hiking partner and say, I messed up. I took a wrong turn back there. I mean, even in a terrifying situation like that, owning the mistake immediately is far, far better than getting defensive. At least you're owning it. Okay, it's section 5. Adding short, natural reasons. The secret sauce. Now we reach the secret sauce. When native English speakers use these casual apologies, especially with their friends and family, they usually pair them with a quick, non-defensive explanation of what went wrong. Here are some perfect, bite-sized reasons you can tack right onto your apology. I dropped the ball. I got distracted. It slipped my mind. Or I lost track of time. For example, that's on me. It slipped my mind. Oh, and by the way, the sources mention a truly great hack to avoid even needing the slip my mind excuse for text messages. Just mark your texts as unread when you can't reply immediately. It is an absolute lifesaver. So, the absolutely crucial point here is this warning. A defensive tone completely defeats the purpose. Providing a short reason is a bit of a slippery slope. If your voice gets whiny or if you say, "That's on me, but I was just so busy," it suddenly sounds exactly like you are making excuses. You have to keep the tone calm and confident, or you completely destroy the accountability you just tried to take. And really, this brings us to the core philosophy of today's explainer. Admitting your mistakes builds trust. When things go wrong, and they will, you can either let it escalate into a fight, or you can step up, be the responsible party, and just own it. Handling your everyday imperfections immediately and smoothly actually leads to a much deeper, more authentic connection with the people around you. So I'll leave you with this final thought. How will you own your next everyday mistake to maintain a connection? The next time you forget the coffee or miss a text, remember to pull a phrase from your brand new conversational tool belt. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. I really hope you feel empowered to handle those little missteps with calm, cool confidence. Keep learning, and I'll see you next time.
Got it! What's up? Catch up! Aha!